Welcome back. Let us continue with the MSQ 4.1.
Come to see how we're getting on? We've made good progress since we took back Alamigo, but there's one big issue we still have to address. Leadership. The Domans had Lord Hien ready and willing to take the throne, but we've got no one like that here. Theodoric was our last ruler, and he wasn't called the Mad King for nothing.
Suffice it to say, our people have had their fill of kings, which means we need to find a new way forward.
If only it were that easy. Everyone and his uncle has an opinion. For the time being, we're just going to have to keep leaning on General Aldin and the Alliance for support, and see if we can't find a solution together. Something tells me we're going to be hosting a lot of meetings in the near future. But if that's what it takes, I'm ready to talk till my jaw aches. The Reach is yours, Nago. Don't do anything I wouldn't.
Aye, aye, Commander.
Ah, there you are. I've been searching all over for you. Now, don't worry, it's nothing bad. That said, this might not be the best place to talk. Will you join me? I'll get to the point. Might you be interested in a spot of adventure? After all, we were adventurous before we were scions, were we not? After routing the Imperials and liberating Alamigo, I reckon we've earned a bit of respite, don't you? And what better way to spend it than by returning to our roots? So, what say you? Shall we call on Alphino and go adventuring?
Oh, hello. Sorry about that, buddy. Right then, let's go and find Master Levelier. Actually, leave it to me. I want you fresh for our little adventure. Wait for us by the Aetheryte, and we'll be along shortly. See you there. Oh shit. Motherfucker. So, okay. Okay, I have my shoes on. I'm just like, what? Am I really barefoot? Okay. Ba, 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 ba. Alright. Ba, 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 da, ba, ba, ba. Alright. Fine, I'll talk. Greetings, Akira. To the seem we are to accompany Eldervald on some manner of escapade. Have you any idea what we've gotten ourselves into? Allow me to explain. It'll be something of a history lesson, but I'll try to be brief. No snoring, if you please. Now, the events I would speak of occurred before the occupation, back when Alamigo was still a monarchy, and Theodoric sat the throne. A uniquely brutal despot by all accounts. That he was the king of runes suffered no rivals, real or imagined, and his dispute with the monks of the Fist ended with Rauger's Reach being burned to the ground. In the latter years of his rule, he was seized by the unshakable belief that unseen forces were conspiring to steal his throne, and so he ordered that every soul with a claim to the throne be executed, including his own family. The wealth of poor sods he put to death became the property of the king, and it's said that these royal treasures were hoarded somewhere in the palace. Thus was born the legend of the Mad King's Trove. And I believe I see the direction our adventure is to take. I assume you have a mind to unearth this hidden bounty. You assume correctly. And would I also be correct in assuming that this legend is widely known? Others must surely have gone in search of your prize, tempting as it seems. Well, of course, we won't be the first to make an attempt. Following Alamigan's liberation, more than a few eager soldiers turned the palace upside down in hopes of claiming an easy fortune. But even after scouring every room from dawn to till dusk, they uncovered not a single coin. Their gold's lust drained away as quickly as it had come, and the legend of the Mad King's Trove remained simply what? That, a legend. But I see you have no intention of letting the story end there. What a self-respecting adventurer would imagine the three of us delving into a decades-old mystery. Tell me, the thought doesn't set your heart to racing. Yeah. Yosha! Ba-dum-bum-bum. You have learned the emote box. If anyone can find that treasure, it's us. But even if we don't, the adventurer will be rewarded enough, I reckon. Oh, really? The news of Doma and Alamigan liberations has kindled the flames of revolution. In every corner of the empire, I hear the imperial province of Damaska has already risen up in rebellion, which means the Guardians must surely have their hands full. What better time than now to indulge in such a diversion? Tell us, Arivald, have we any clues as to where we might begin our search? Well, judging by how the other treasure hunters fared, nosing about the palace isn't like to get us anywhere. So we'll probably need to ask around. Would that be another way of saying no? Well, yes. I see. In the case, I shall pay a visit to the Allied uh, archivist and request access to the records seized from the Imperials. The Guardians are meticulous about such things. If they uncover the trove during their occupation, the event is certain to have been recorded. In the meantime, the two of you can track down those who worked as a palace servants and officials in the Theodric Dick's day. Given that they would have been at least 20 at the end, the time, you will be looking for people who have seen 40 summers or more. Anything they can tell you about the king and his bloody deeds may prove useful. So be sure to listen well. Orevald, pray try your luck in the fridges and the peaks whis Akira makes the rounds in the Alamigan quarter. Ha! And there I was thinking I was the party leader. Not that I mind, of course. Let be about it, eh? We can meet afterwards in Grillbard's Gate. Do 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 do. All right. Middle-aged Highlander. In the palace, no, not me, alas. Surely you've heard stories of the Mad King. He used to hold public executions on the divine audience. Anyone, and I mean anyone, subjected of conspiring against the crown was flung from the top of those steps. Suffice to say that I stayed as far away from the palace as possible. Um, I also let's see. Retired Rogan. Then I served as the pleasure of King Theodric, and lived to tell the tale. One of the palace guards, I was. Truth be told, it was a dark chapter in my life, and one I'd sooner forget. Hardly a night went by when we didn't hear blood curdling screams echoing from the inner chambers, which of course we were under orders to ignore. So we'd stand still as statues, trying not to imagine what horrors were unfolding within. If they're hell's bent on finding out what happened in the palace, heard down the street here, ask old Aronald. He was the king's head scribe. So I was looking at the. Okay, so I was looking at what good glam I could get for fending, and I found out that the good stuff will be in the next one. next raid, so can't wait to get that glam for vending. Anyways. Well, hello there. You want to hear an old maid's story, do you? Well, most of what I know of the Mad King is common knowledge. We'd only see His Royal Majesty when he deigned to attend the executions he'd ordered. And after a while, what the heck? Even watching his enemies die wasn't enough to coax him out of hiding. They say he started seeing assassins in every shadow and wouldn't set foot outside the palace walls. I was offered work there as a royal servant once, but the mere thought of it left me in a cold sweat. Upstairs. Yes, I am Ernold. What do you want with me? You would have me dredge up some decidedly unsavory memories that if Alamegan is to move forward, we must needs acknowledge the misdeeds of the past. Very well, I shall tell you what I remember. I take it, you know, of Theodric's paranoia and the public executions of his kinsmen. Those were terrible enough, but in his last days, the king's revered mind settled upon an even grislier method of disposal, which only a chosen few were unfortunate enough to witness. His Majesty ordered the court of Theomaturge to unleash a vile curse upon the remaining members of the royal family and magic, which transformed them into fiends of hideous aspect. The result of monstrosities were then cast into the darkness below the palace. Even now, my sleep is troubled by nightmares. If others of Theodoric's blood were prone to share his madness, then mayhap it is kindness that the monarchy ended with him. An excellent timing as ever. We have but this moment returned from our own intelligence gathering efforts. Since we're all here, why don't we share what we've learned? Allow me to begin, then. As promised, I secured the Imperial records for any mention of fantastic treasures and found precisely none. It is just possible, I suppose, that an corrupt official deliberately hid the fact of the trove's discovery, hoping to enrich himself, but I find it rather unlikely that so valuable a find would stay secret for long. I conclude that our prize either does not exist or what the Imperials somehow overlooked it. What about you, Akira? Were your investigations any more fruitful? Turned into monsters? And what could he mean by his this darkness beneath the palace, I wonder? I met an old man in Alagiri who spoke of the palace's subterranean prison, but he said not of cursed abominations. The Imperial archives were also silent on the subject of fiends inside the palace grounds. Could this scribe fellow have been spinning her a yarn, do you think? Do you believe him, Akira? His fear seemed genuine. He maybe have been lying. If he was afraid, that does lend credence to the tale, though I'm not sure how that helps us in our search. Don't be so hasty, Ernolds, and don't may very well have told us where the truth is hidden. But ere I share my theory, there is a matter I would clarify. Arivald, you spoke of light-hearted adventurer, but I sense a deeper motive for this expedition. Why are you so intent on finding these treasures? It wasn't all pretense, I swear, but you're right. My father was in the Imperial Army, a man of guardian blood. I trust you know what I mean when I say that my Alamigan mother did not welcome my arrival. As I grew, she would check my brow over and over, convincing that a spot of my skin was an emerging third eye, like the kind you see in pure blood guardians. My mother did not care for taunting reminder of my heritage, and took up a knife. War paint serves to cover the scar. Ow. In the end, she turned me out into the street, and I was left to haunt the alleyways of Alamigo, a feral child who got what he needed through begging, cunning, or worse. The best I can say about the years that followed is that I survived, but I hated the animal I'd become. Eventually, I left the city behind me and joined a group of refugees bound for the other side of the wall. It was then that I turned to adventuring, and the road led me to the company of the Science. I tell you this so that you understand. I know all too well what poverty and hunger can do to a person. I drew steel on ordinary folk for a measly crust of bread with Theodric's gold. I could spare my countrymen the shame of living like that. Thank you, Alderwald, and I apologize. That cannot have been pleasant to recall, but I felt it best to be clear in our intentions. Well, Akira, are you content to surrender the treasure to Alderwald's noble cause and claim the thrill of adventure as your reward? Then I should be glad to tell you my theory on the resting place of the Mad King's Trove, if you are minded to hear it. Ah, shit. I'll probably not use it. Well, out with it. What's this theory of yours? It's not mine. Actually, mayhap it would be better if we first adjourned to a more suitable location. In that case, a rival treasure hunter overhears our plans. You mean good thinking? That was not exactly the reason, but 'tis certain a valid concern. Let us reconvene in the southern edge of Loch Seld. Oh wait. I think I know where to go for the dungeon. If my memory serves me right, it's yep. Ba, 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 ba. Come now, Alpha. Now, don't let us in this suspense. Let's hear of this theory of yours. But forgive me, 'twas not my intention to draw out proceedings. I simply wished to have the lock in sight while I explain things. Prior to the great flood of the sixth Umbral era, the salt lakes you see before you were dry ravines, and this, believe it or not, was the site of the ancient city of Scala, which rose and fell during the fifth astral era. From what we know of the period, the city was already deserted by the time the waters began to rise, having been all but destroyed by war, yet its ruins remain to this day at the bottom of Loch Seld. It is my belief that the darkness beneath the palace, mentioned by Theodotic's former scribe, was not a reference to the prison, but to a place still further below the ruins of Scala. I furthered surmise that the Mad King's unfortunate kingsmen were cast down there not simply out of desire to punish them, but to discourage exploration. Theodoric wanted to keep the ruins secured. Wait, you're saying they were meant to guard the Mad King's trove? Precisely, and since we know the court thaumaturge was involved, we can safely assume that any entrance into the old city will have been magically concealed, which would explain how a legion of Imperial soldiers and gods know how many Alamegans never found a trace of the trove. We, however, have certain advantages which they did not enjoy, Akira. Would you be so good as to swim down to the bottom of the loch and search for an underwater route into the ruins? While you do that, Alderwald and I seek out an ensorrelled portal within the palace. Right. la, ba, ba, ba. Oh, precisely where I... Wow, that was easy. I think this is it. Yeah. Oh shit, oh shit. Wait, what? Oh, okay. You discover a passage that appears to lead under the palace foundations. Press on and find out where it goes. You came to a worn stone door, temperingly ajar. It would appear you have found an entrance into a subterranean ruins. Akira, it's Alphino. We have searched the prison beneath the palace and found a door concealed by enchantments. Have you aught to report? And you believe it leads into the ruins. Excellent. Then I suppose we proceed from our retrospective entry points and look to meet somewhere in the middle. Oh, come on, you two. We might as well make it a race. Victory goes to the first adventurer to find the treasure. Godspeed. All right. This concludes this episode of Stormblood. In the next episode, we'll proceed into the downed city of Scala. Till then, fare thee well.